Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
Yeah, welcome back to Going In Raw. This is Matt Chat, Larson. You go ahead and do it because I got to save my voice.
Yeah, save your
for
voice.
The very
save your
important
voice.
answers I have.
So, those who are unaware, this is Going In Raw. It's our pro wrestling brand or show or channel. This is Matt Chat Show, where we take questions from you, our $20 patrons, and put them on our show. We got other tiers on our Patreon.
Yeah, yes.
$10 get you a postcard.
Didn't mean to put you on the
signed
spot
by
there.
us.
Yeah.
Man, intro the show. I'm on cruise control, man. I'll be honest with you. Also, at $20 a month, you get Friendo Care Package, comic book, stickers, poster, two-sided poster at that, postcard, all sorts of great stuff. We got other tiers. Check it out. Patreon.com/Steven Larson.
Definitely.
But you don't want to hear us talk about our stuff. Let's hear the Friendos talk about their questions, and then we'll answer them. First up, we got Ryan Rugani. Let's see what Ryan Rugani has to say.
My question is, with the last call-ups that they botched completely, and now they bring the top four guys up now, they're just going to get lost again. What is Vince doing? This isn't a takeover angle. This is a, hey, can we come play angle? This is something else. Too sweet and hearty handshake.
Thank you, Ryan Rugani.
You want I have green tea in here. You can have the rest of it.
No, I'm good.
It's good for you. It's for your health.
Oh, it's in there.
It's green tea. It's a tea bag right here. See?
I'm going to teabag you in a second here. Vince,
Rude.
NXT call-ups. We saw some NXT showcase talent call-ups. I don't know what they are.
Exhibition matches.
We'll find out on Monday if they're still hanging
Maybe.
around. Maybe. I assume if they're not there Monday and Tuesday, they're just not going to be there. That's it. It was a showcase. Yeah. Well, we might find out more. Hey, look. They made some big announcement on NXT. Shocking announcement.
Yeah, we're shooting this before said announcement, so we don't know what it is yet.
It's like hours before the announcement, but it's been days since the announcement's been made.
Yeah.
When this runs. So, I don't know. We'll see.
That announcement could very well relate to this question. We just don't know yet.
Yeah, I'll go first, though.
Yeah.
I understand what Dave Meltzer, the dirt sheets are saying. Vince just did this. Didn't really give a lot of consideration. Popping ratings. I get that. I do, however, wonder if they're going to try to use NXT as competition, as the main line of offense against all elite wrestling. Maybe some counter programming, perhaps. Put it to 2 hours monthly takeovers. I don't know, something along those lines. Maybe we'll see that. Or maybe, honestly, maybe he's just, hey, I want to surprise some people. He likes surprising people. He probably heard good. Maybe he accidentally caught halftime heat. And he was like, man, these guys are, I can't do a Vince impression right now. He's like, man, these guys
are great.
There you go. These guys are really good.
I want them on my show.
He's like, wait a second, we can sign them, and they are signed. Oh, cool. Let's just toss them on Raw and SmackDown. People seem to like them.
For a week, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Maybe they'll be gone after that. We don't know.
No, we're telling other stories right now, Vince. No. Just
what about the 4 NXT call-ups we just did back when there's a shakeup? Fans are the authority now.
Yeah, we're not using them. Vince's like, oh, we're not doing anything with them, so let's just do something with these guys.
No, he just says, oh, we're not doing anything with them. And that's the end of it. Oh, we're not doing anything with them.
Go ahead. You give your answer.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah,
he doesn't know.
Well, he knows. He just doesn't.
Well, he knows what he's doing in terms of them being on Raw and maybe SmackDown.
He knows what he's doing in that moment.
Yeah, exactly.
But 10 minutes before and 10 minutes after.
He doesn't know.
There's no plan.
I'm not saying anything Meltzer said is 100% truth, but it's food for thought.
Yeah, sure.
And his track record, Meltzer, that is as good as pretty much anybody else.
That's pretty good.
So if he says that they were brought up because Vince wanted to highlight the wrestling on his wrestling shows,
Yeah.
what a concept.
Yeah,
And so he brought up the 4 best wrestlers from NXT to do that. I mean, it doesn't seem outside the realm of possibility of something Vince would do.
Yeah.
Without any thought about how it would affect the stories, not only on Raw and SmackDown, but also down in NXT, where 2 of the people he brought up were champions there. He also mentioned that apparently Triple H wasn't in the decision-making process. He might not even known about it before Raw.
Yeah.
Another thing he said is that initially it was supposed to be 1-on-1 Finn versus Ricochet.
Ooh, whoa.
And that, of course, Finn, Intercontinental champion, he was going to get the win.
Yeah.
And Triple H mm-mm.
Oh, wow.
No, Ricochet's not showing up on Raw to take an L. We're doing this tag match.
Wow.
So Vince has imagine in his mind is like I want better wrestling on the show. Give me the best wrestlers from NXT. Someone said the 4 best. Good. Get them on a plane up here right now. Put them on the show and have them wrestle really good. That's the extent of his thought into it.
Yeah.
That is the extent of his thought into it, I feel like. He felt
great.
like, I want better wrestling. And part of the idea of I want better wrestling on my show might be to combat the idea that All Elite is going to be so wrestling focused. But that's
Here's why it'd be weird to me.
7.5 months down the line.
Here's why it'd be weird to me if the thought process was, I want better wrestling on my show. Who are the best wrestlers we got down on NXT? Who's known for best wrestling? Because here's the thing: when he's wanted to do that, all he has to do is, like we just saw it a week ago, put Kofi in a gauntlet match, put Seth Rollins in a gauntlet match.
I know.
Get your best wrestlers out there that you have. Because here's the thing: everybody, I actually firmly believe this. Everybody on main roster, save a couple obvious names, maybe. Everybody on main roster, you toss them down on NXT, you give them the kind of prep time they get for those takeover matches.
They can put on a great match.
They can all put on 5-star matches. I think that the talent level is so high across the board in that company that they can all do that.
Yeah, you don't need to bring up people from NXT to put on great wrestling. Just give the talents you have there an opportunity to showcase their talents.
I feel like I'd like to think that Vince knows that. So I don't know. This might be more of a let's do something unpredictable for the fans. I don't know. I don't
think he knows. I think he got a thought. I'm going to do this. Give me these names. All right, put them on a plane. They're going to wrestle this week. Something tells me that's the extent of it.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
That's the extent.
That wouldn't surprise me.
And then we could find out. We could have found out Wednesday what the plan is. We could find out Monday, tomorrow, from when this goes up. If they show up on Raw again, then maybe they're sticking around a bit longer. But right now, I don't know. I don't think anybody really knows. They're probably in meetings right now as we're shooting this.
There's also tapings that are happening tonight.
Today, yeah. On Wednesday, yes. Yeah. So who knows? Next, from Graham. See what Graham has to say.
Hi Steve, hi Larson. Make a sant up there. Anyway, my question this week is, how do you think Vince McMahon feels about Aleister Black? Probably the first time we ever seen him last night, and I want to, what do you think he thinks of him with his look, and do you think Vince will like him, and how do you think he'll get on the main roster? Anyway, too sweet.
Thank you, Graham.
Thank you, Graham. You go first.
He probably wishes he was about a foot taller.
Oh yeah, maybe.
You know, Vince likes his beef.
He likes tall guys.
He likes tall guys with muscles.
Mm-hmm.
Historically speaking, and something tells me that he would be intrigued if he had Lars Sullivan at his disposal.
Mm-hmm.
However, Lars is just doing whatever.
Yeah, he's gone.
You haven't heard anything about what's the deal with him. So I would like to think that Vince would see the marketability of Aleister Black because he's got all the tools.
Mm-hmm.
He's got an incredible mystique about him.
Yep.
He's got a lot of natural charisma. He's pretty good on the mic.
Yeah.
He's capable of putting on really good matches.
Yeah.
If you're looking for someone, I hate to say replace The Undertaker, because I don't think anybody can replace The Undertaker.
Yeah.
You know, he's a singular talent. However, if you're looking for someone on the main roster who's not a supernatural character, but someone who has that mystique and could carry that mystique for a number of years, if not decades, Aleister Black is your man.
Yep.
He is your man.
Yep.
He's got that. I would like to hope Triple H sees it. Triple H definitely sees it.
Yes.
Does Vince see it? I don't know.
I think he does. I'll tell you why. Because look at where the other guys were placed. You had Ricochet in a tag match with the Intercontinental Champion.
Match. He had a singles match on SmackDown, yeah.
Yeah, a singles match against Eric Young on SmackDown. That's like a jobber match, basically. That's like that's not a major showcase right there. You had him with Finn Balor in a tag match on Raw. The other guy, Ciampa and Gargano, who are two fantastic singles wrestlers, they had them tagging as DIY. Aleister Black had of all the guys in NXT, he had the most prominent position on both Raw and SmackDown. They let him do his entire entrance thing. They even brought out the little bed that goes up like that. They put that on a plane and put it somewhere, and sent it to Raw and SmackDown.
Probably just in cargo. So the cargo part of the plane.
So they did
Think they bought a ticket for the his elevated platform?
I think they probably put it on Vince's personal jet.
Probably.
That's probably what they did.
Unless it was too heavy.
So they had they wheeled that out. They had Kevin Dunn figure out how to film fake candles.
I'm sure that's B-roll from NXT. They just sent that on a hard drive.
You think so? I don't think so, man. I think that was just there. You saw the candles right next to him there.
I'm guessing they those guys got the plane and flew from Orlando to Lafayette like they probably arrived like an hour and a half before the show started.
Dude, if they put the bed thing, if they set the bed thing, then they sent some candles with it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's easy enough.
Oh, yeah, I thought you said about fake candles.
Well, whatever those.
I thought you meant the video stuff.
Oh no, I meant the candles that they
All
they
right.
do the one
Yeah,
shot
yeah, no,
of the
yeah,
candles.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure those are fake.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they had those in Orlando. That was on his carry-on.
What's that?
Those were in his carry-on.
Yeah, they brought those out, and they had Kevin Dunn have a guy with a camera right there, so they figured out his entrance. 2 shots. And they put him in there with one of the best wrestlers on the roster, Andrade. Day before Elias. Elias is Elias. They seem to like him, but not enough to do anything with him. So I think Vince sees money in him. I think this is. I don't know, man. I don't know what I believe. I don't know if I believe that Vince never watches NXT. I don't know if Vince understands who's on NXT. I don't know if Vince keeps his eye on NXT or if he's an avid watcher just like you and I. I have no idea. I don't know. We've heard various conflicting things. I don't know. Part of me thinks that this is the first time Vince has ever seen Aleister Black, given what commentary was saying, obviously in his voice. Or if he had seen Aleister Black before on NXT, is a big fan of his and decided to do some fan-fit commentary for Aleister Black, thinking that he's got the algorithm. That's entirely possible, too. Oh, man, I've been waiting for this Aleister Black character to come by. Now I'm going to show commentary how it's done. He works for 9 to 5ers. He fights for blue-collar people.
Yeah. Also for the forgotten, though. People left, what else did they say?
So there's Aleister Black has never quite fit in. That's who he fights for. Oh, also he fights for 9 to 5ers.
Yeah.
The only thing I can go by is placement. If he had tagged with Finn Balor and then took on Eric Young, and Ricochet was in the other spot, I would say Ricochet is viewed as the guy who's got more money, in the eyes of Vince McMahon. But he seems to think Aleister Black is a standout singles competitor there. And that's what I have to go off of. So I think he sees money in him. Let me ask: who do you think he sees more money in? This I don't know. Lars Sullivan or Aleister Black?
Lars Sullivan.
Oh God. Okay, let's move on because that's depressing. You're probably right. Next up, we've got Zach S.
We do.
Let's see what he has to say.
What's good, Sid Morrison, many friendos out there? It is your Mad Chat Hall of Famer Zach S. coming at you with another Mad Chat question. This question this week is Sid Morrison. Let's assume the rumors are true. Ronda Rousey does retire after WrestleMania. When we look back in a couple years at this WWE run for Ronda Rousey, do you think it's going to have any change in how people look at her entire career, looking at MMA, the Olympic stuff, and WWE? Or do you think it's going to be the same as when Ronda Rousey left the UFC? Because I'll be honest, I think people are still going to look at how Ronda Rousey left the UFC on a very sour note. I'll be honest. When you look at how she handled the losses, I think that's going to overshadow the WWE stuff. But that's just me. What do you guys think? Thanks, boys.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, Zach. Getting back to that last question, who do you think Vince sees more money in? If you see them, if you take time out of the equation, Finn Balor or Aleister Black?
Finn Balor.
It's Aleister Black. He's taller.
Not that much.
Zach S's question: Ronda's legacy if she leaves WWE after Mania. Legacy, she gets a 7. I think she gets a 7. I think she's the highest profile, legit mainstream crossover star since Brock Lesnar. To get to WWE, I think that it hasn't been without its hiccups. I think they've been few and far between. I think people tend to forget any bad stuff that happens, and I think that she's been pretty good so far. So I think her legacy is going to be good. It's going to be 7.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I'm kind of familiar with how she exited UFC and how her run kind of fizzled after she suffered her first loss. But I really don't when I think Ronda, I don't think that. As you said, when people, with the perspective of time, people seem to focus more often not on the positives rather than the negatives.
Yeah.
And so you think about the dominant run she had. You think about her how quickly she adapted her style, acquainted herself to the WWE, and it was really impressive. So if she's only in the company for about a year, I think that only serves to enhance her legacy as a combat athlete, if you will.
Yeah.
From being an Olympian, dominating UFC for a stretch. I mean, it's not very often that an athlete in any sport is as dominant as she was for any period of time, much less years.
Yeah.
And especially UFC where the turnover rate is so high. Generally she was on top for 3 years, 4 years, something like that? Was it even that long?
Yeah, I don't even know if it was that long. I mean, the thing is, everybody's correct when they say she's a trailblazer. I mean, UFC basically invented the women's division for her, or that division. I know they do weight classes.
Yeah.
But she basically made, women's MMA in UFC.
Mm-hmm.
They saw that, what she was and how dominant she could be and what a draw she could be, and she turned out to be that draw. I mean, I don't know. It's such a weird thing going from her situation is so unique in that so
she had like a 3-year run on top.
Okay, in that she's
Almost exactly
been to
3
the
years.
top of two mountains, first in legitimate sports and then in WWE,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she'll be most remembered for the UFC thing because it's legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was able to do the WWE because of that, because of how legitimate she was in the UFC. It's not like Brock, who went from WWE to, legitimate UFC. I mean, he was already legitimate as a wrestler, as an amateur wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
But then he goes to UFC and cleans up, and, cleans house, rather, and wins the biggest title there. And if it wasn't for his diverticulitis, who knows how much further he could have gone.
Yeah, who knows if he would have even gone back to WWE.
So Brock, again, singular, unique thing. I don't know how people... people view WWE stars as entertainers. That's what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you pair up something that, and this is not meant at all as a knock on pro wrestling. I would never do that. But legitimately getting to the top of a sport is an achievement, I think, that is perceived as probably more impressive than getting to the top of the pro wrestling business, where look and presentation can outweigh, in the eyes of promoters, can outweigh legitimate athletic ability. I don't think you can be at the top of the pro wrestling game without legitimate athletic ability. I mean, look at Seth Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you don't have anybody putting you at the top, like a Vince McMahon, and you have to go there yourself via legitimate competition,
Mm-hmm.
I think to the general public, to the general society,
Yeah, I get your point.
that's rewarded more.
Yeah.
So, hope I phrased that eloquently.
Yeah, you
enough.
did fine. You did fine. Long run, Ronda's legacy is fine.
Yeah.
Christopher Ramprasad's next. See what Christopher has to say.
Hello, Steven Larson. So my question is, do you feel that Becky Lynch's push has lost momentum? Like, she didn't show up on Monday or Tuesday on Raw. I feel like, they haven't focused on her like they should be to build up this Mania match. What do you guys think?
Thank you, Christopher.
Thank you, Christopher.
No, she's not losing steam. She's off TV for a week. They're selling the suspension angle.
What do people chant? What have people been chanting whenever?
Becky.
Yeah.
She's mentioned all the time.
They mention her a lot.
You know what she's doing? She's not peacefully serving out her suspension. She's at home thinking of ways to go out there and stir the pot, scheming to mess things up, to go after Ronda and Charlotte without the risk of getting arrested and losing her job entirely.
Ooh, yeah.
She's devising a new plan to go out there and be the man
She's doing
without
also,
facing any repercussions.
She has that. And they're even developing this in the background of certain scenes. Charlotte gave that interview.
Yes.
And Becky's backpack, which she probably had like a recording device in, listening.
Oh, feast your ears.
Right.
Yeah.
So she is.
She's everywhere.
No, I think, dude, people pop when they see her. And this is actually, to be honest with you, it's actually kind of a smart storyline they're playing out here, because I don't know, this is probably going to end up being a triple threat. I don't know what's going to happen next week on Raw. They'll probably have her, show up and force her way into the conversation again for the fight, or for Fastlane, because that's in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, no.
So no, man, they're keeping her off. They're having her like show up and attack, and it keeps things unpredictable. We're not getting Becky promos every week coming out saying the same thing. We're not doing that. It's when is she gonna? Ooh, what's she doing?
What do they say about absence?
It makes the heart grow fonder.
Yep.
when she showed up on crutches, she had me fooled. I was like, oh man, she's busted up. She's getting in that ring and she's gonna talk and run her mouth and stuff. And then bang, she swerved this guy.
Yeah, she beat the heck out of Ronda and Charlotte.
Holy moly!
So let's be patient. Let's wait and see how the story unfolds.
Don't be so impatient, Christopher.
Becky's not losing any momentum.
It's all good. It's great.
It's fine. It's great.
You know who's great? A.O. Worm.
Yeah.
See what he has to say.
Yeah.
Hey, what's good, everybody? A.O. Worm here with another Match Chat question. Steven Larson, do you guys believe in the notion of everybody deserves to win a title in their profession of wrestling? Like, do you think that Joe will inevitably win a title? Do you think people like Ty Dillinger will ever win a title when he goes back to the independent scene? Like, do you think that everybody, regardless of what they do or what they did, deserves to win a title of some sort? Let me know what you guys think. Take it easy. I'll let you later.
Thank you, A.O. Worm.
Thank you, A.O. Worm. So, in certain situations, yeah, I'm a fan in certain situations. Samoa Joe is a great example of a guy who hasn't won a championship on main roster. I know he's NXT champion. He hasn't won a championship on main roster, but there's something about that dude that just comes off as he's the kind of guy who never phones it in. He is always he's great with everything he does, and I think that he would enhance the legacy of any title he put his hands on.
Absolutely.
And so in his case and guys like him, yes, I think a title run would be great. Kofi Kingston is a guy who has been decorated many, many times.
The only thing he's missing is a world title.
Yeah, and right now, because of how awesome this momentum is behind him, because of the story, I would love to see him get that world title.
Agreed.
I don't think if okay, so take a look at like Christian, right? Mm-hmm. Guys who are already so decorated. Mm-hmm. I don't think Christian's 30-day or whatever his run with the world title. Yeah. That to me is sort of less. I don't know. To me that's not really.
There's.
It depends on the situation.
It does. And it depends. Does everyone deserve to win a title? No, not everyone. He mentions Ty Dillinger. I like Ty Dillinger fine.
Oh, I missed that.
He mentioned Ty. No, Ty doesn't.
No.
Based on the work he's done in WWE, I thought in NXT there was a storyline in place that they could have done it. Mm-hmm. On main roster, I mean, if here's the thing, if let's just talk about WWE main roster for this question. If you are, as you mentioned, like example like Samoa Joe, a guy who never phones it in, a guy or woman, for example, never phones it in. Comes to work, ready to work, bust their tail, do their part to the absolute fullest. In the process, starts to build a brand for themselves. Regardless of their heel or face, they get a reaction. If they put the work in, if they can build themselves up so that in the fans' eyes they are championship material, then yes, put a belt on them. By all means.
Let me counter with this really quick. If Samoa Joe, here's the thing, I honestly cannot think of a moment since Samoa Joe showed up in NXT all the way till now that he has been misused.
Yeah.
I think if Samoa Joe, I'll put it this way.
I mean, he could have picked up a win where he lost some matches, but that's not the same as being misused. He's always been cast to heighten his immense strength.
If Samoa Joe goes another 3 years and decides to call it a day, and he doesn't win a title in those 3 years, and he has continued to be used as good as he has been used, and he continues to hit everything he does out of the park, and he doesn't win a title, I think he would be fine with that.
Totally.
I think I would be fine with that. I think everybody would be fine with that because it's really, how are you respecting the character? If the character has always been used, in the highest manner, in the most respectful way possible, and he just never wins the title, and you never make that part of a story because that character doesn't really care.
Well, they have made a part of a story before.
Yeah, but a minor part. I mean, people will throw, and it rubs off like, it just wicks off him. He doesn't care.
He cared when Jeff Hardy said it.
Yeah.
If you go back to your Christian,
but they've never had a whole story about Samoa Joe's never won the big one.
Yeah, never won the big one. Yeah, I know. Go back to your Christian example. Like with Christian, it seemed like a thank you. Thank you for your service.
Which I'm not huge on.
In the right scenario, I don't mind. But
Like
I
if
think
Kofi wins it here because the story works
exactly.
so
I
well.
think that's the thing, is that story has to trump story has to trump service.
Yeah.
Like again, Christian, if they had come up with an interesting, well-told story which led to him naturally, organically win that title, yeah, totally, 100%.
Yeah.
Because it's all in the service of a greater story, and that's great.
Yeah.
And for the most part, like I don't think everybody deserves to win a title. Like if you sign a WWE contract, doesn't mean you're going to get a title at some point in your career.
No.
But someone like Christian, who was with the company, granted I know he was in TNA for a while, for the better part of
20 years or whatever.
15 years, whatever it was. Put his body in the line in a lot of matches.
Yeah.
Did a lot for the company.
Yeah.
You give him a month of the title, it doesn't really hurt anything. I mean, it's not like Christian, he's well decorated. And granted, might be with his thanks to his association with Edge. He's relatively popular. He's got a killer theme song in this early one too.
Let me ask you. You're ridiculous. Let me ask you something.
What?
Let me ask you something. I'm just throwing this out there because
Also,
I
the time
think
the World Heavyweight Championship really didn't mean anything. Anyways,
because I kind of believe it. Because I kind of believe this. Would you rather be the guy who had a meaningless 30-day world title run, or would you rather be? Yes. Chris Hemsworth is going to play Hulk Hogan in a movie. That's amazing.
my gosh.
That's great.
Anyways, continue.
Or would you rather be the guy, the Rick Rude, the Mr. Perfect, who people will always say, the Scott Hall, who people always say, man, that guy would have been a killer world champion.
I think at the end of the day, I'd probably let my bank account do the talking for me.
Well, yeah, I agree. But if you cared about legacy stuff, like in the eyes of fans, I think that being the guy who everybody says, man, talk about one of the top 10 guys who should have had a world title, as opposed to, man, he had a 30-day title shot. That sucks. You know?
I guess it depends what you find fulfilling.
Yeah. I think legacy, I think to fans, like, Rick Rude could have had like a 30-day WWF title run and have been like, okay, well, big deal, whatever.
He had the WCW title or something like that.
He had the WCW International title, which...
He had the NWA World Championship. I'm pretty sure.
No, he's not in the legacy, dude. He's in the legacy for the they did like... It was, I think they did, I forget what it is.
Yeah,
they did like a separate thing.
No, I understand. I know they had all sorts of weird belts going on.
Yeah.
Oh, he's in the NWA International World Title. Oh, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a weird thing. Look at the legacy of that title right there.
Yeah, it is weird.
I think it's like just him.
That's how I was confused.
It's something
he
weird,
was the American heavyweight.
But it was the big gold belt.
Yeah.
It was still the big gold belt.
Yeah. He had it 3 times, though.
Yeah.
That's good names, though.
Flair, Rude.
Yeah, he's only around for a year.
Yeah. I forget what the lineage was. It like splintered from...
I think that's when Flair showed up on WWE with the NWA title.
No, that was 93. Oh. No, that was 93.
That was 92. It was 92 to 93.
Look back at it.
Pretty sure it was 92, 93.
I said 93. I thought the first one was 93.
What was it called? International title?
Yeah, there you go. Try that. We're doing this live on air. I love it.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah. That's
Nope,
not
not
the title.
it.
No, it's WCW International. Let's put that in. But so for example, like Mark Henry,
93. Sorry, yeah, you're right.
when Mark Henry won the big gold belt, it was pertinent to story.
Yeah.
And it also felt like a thank you. I think in that situation, it's awesome.
Totally cool.
It's
yeah,
great.
Well, it also coincided with like a reinvention of his character too.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So it all worked.
It all worked really, really
Yeah.
well. I'm a big fan of that.
In the end of the day, whatever best serves the story they're trying to tell.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But I think the only thing people deserve is that paycheck, because you're going there, you're doing a job, and you're getting compensated for it. As long as you're happy with your financial situation, that's kind of all that matters. For the fans, do titles matter? I guess a little bit, yeah.
I'll say this. The paycheck's great, and that's probably prime. Mm-hmm. Opportunity would be nice. We're seeing a lot of people wanting to leave WWE now because they don't think they're getting the opportunity they would really like.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. You know, if you can make a guy happy, I believe this. I believe you can make people happy and never have them sniff the title.
Yeah, and that's just,
You know?
I think it just involves being involved.
Being utilized.
Being involved.
Yeah, being utilized.
And I mean, equate opportunity with championships. I
Yeah.
meant opportunity to showcase their skills and be involved in something interesting. I think that's more than anything. That's probably what wrestlers would be most into. What they want is just to be involved.
But then there's like super ambitious guys like Cena, Seth Rollins, and it's like, it kind of makes sense for them to have the title.
Yeah.
But, that's rarefied air, man.
All right, let's move on to Zenith 64's question. I'm really excited to answer this one. Let's see what Zenith has to say.
Salutations, friendo. So, Undertaker is now breaking kayfabe and doing actual Mark Calloway interviews. So, my question is, what story do you want to hear in Undertaker's perspective that he was there? Undertaker's backstage pretty much all the time, especially during the Attitude Era. And what do you want to hear straight from the horse's mouth, straight from Mark Calloway's perspective? I want to hear him talk about what he was thinking about when he was around the Montreal Screwjob, and I also want to hear his perspective on Shawn Michaels not wanting to drop the title to Stone Cold at Mania 14. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Zenith. All right, this is one. No, I need to go first on this one.
Okay.
So I never heard this before. So I was listening to the Something to Wrestle With episode on Sid.
Yeah.
And in passing, they made reference to Sid maybe pooping his pants during his match against Undertaker at WrestleMania 13. I want to know if that happened. I want to know if Sid crapped himself during the main event of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I need to know that.
All right, side slam, Sid. Oh, damn, son.
And then Sid say, I'm not the master and ruler of my bowels right now.
my beehole.
So, yes, I want him to confirm or deny that Sid crapped himself in the main event of WrestleMania.
Well, we have to get a meet and greet ticket for Tim Spulak so he can, $300. Is that a good $300 investment?
I don't know. It depends what it yields. If we can have our questions answered and have him do an intro for the show, I don't know.
Would you pay $300? $150, I'd chip in. Would you pay $150 to find out if Sid crapped his pants?
Maybe a scoop, man. That'd be exclusive.
That'd be an exclusive. Oh, man, that'd be good. Would you be able to videotape him saying that?
Maybe.
I don't know what they'd be able. I don't know what they're allowed to do.
I don't know how much time you get in meet and greet. I think it's just picture, autograph, next.
I don't know. We got to tell them what to do. So there's a couple. Number one, like recently, I want to know what his next guy. I want his take on how Vince feels about him being at StarCast.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Because apparently Vince feels that if he's at StarCast, he's basically signing with All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah.
Vince reads the rumors, the dirt sheets.
What do you think? What do you think Vince pays more attention to, NXT or All Elite Wrestling?
Oh, I don't know. Probably neither.
Yeah, probably.
Probably neither.
Imagine he gets like daily memos of industry news, everything broken down in like 2 seconds or 2 sentence blurbs.
I don't know, man, because like everybody always said that he doesn't pay attention to what's going on outside of wrestling, or outside. I'm sorry.
Outside WWE.
Outside of WWE.
Yeah.
Yeah,
who knows?
But I really want to hear Taker's story about when Vince McMahon told him that Vince was going to be the higher power. That's what I want to know. I thought we were bringing in a new hot star for that. No, it's going to be me. It's depressing when I can't do Vince. Anyway.
It is.
Next up, Patrick Sparks. See what he has to say.
Hey, friendos, Pat here. All right, so I was listening to Something to Wrestle With, and they were talking about the aftermath of Eddie winning the title after No Way at 2004. That was such an emotional moment and whatnot backstage. So, if you could be a fly on the wall in any situation like that, like Eddie winning, or say Daniel Bryan retiring, the aftermath backstage of any big event or whatever, what would you want to go back and see and be there for and witness firsthand? And I know we've said that the Montreal Screwjob would be cool to go back to and witness that and everything, so let's take that out of it. But what do you guys think? Thanks, friendos. Bye.
Thank you, Patrick Sparks. B-Man.
Thank you, B-Man.
You go first.
Yeah, that's his name.
Or do you need me to go first since you don't really have an answer written down here?
No. That's what my answer was. If I could be on the fly on the wall for anything, it would be the day WCW was bought by WWF. That would be fascinating to me. That would be absolutely fascinating to me. Walk in there, see people walk, and Shane McMahon's there, and they're like, ay, you know?
Yeah.
I imagine that would be their reaction.
Yeah, all sorts of cartoon sound effects, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Steam coming out of their ears.
Then they start to run, and their legs are in a big whirlwind.
Yes, exactly. I want to be there when it was decided that Daniel Bryan was going to pick up that title at WrestleMania 30. Mm-hmm. And be there when it happens, because I think he was kind of the first of the Ring. No, I guess CM Punk was, but CM Punk never had that stage at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
The first of the Ring of Honor guys to get to the top of the mountain on the largest stage possible. And that's a hell of a journey to go from wrestling in bingo halls in front of 100 people, getting paid in hot dogs.
Yeah.
Having to work, a real job or a job outside of wrestling to pay ends meet. And then, to get to WWE, be let go, get to WWE, be part of the Nexus, gets fired after the first thing, gets hired back on, and kind of was begrudgingly, on Vince's part, begrudgingly made world champion after he cashed in, lost the title in 18 seconds to Sheamus, and just the groundswell of public support led him to the top of the mountain. I think it's just kind of a really cool story.
Yeah. I wonder if it's as underwhelming a story as when Jericho won the Undisputed Championship and he walks backstage and like nobody's really there.
Yeah, no.
Something tells me it's just as mundane as that.
Oh, probably.
Probably.
Where it goes back to his hotel and then gets locked out and eats cold pizza and stuff like that.
He's probably told do you think he was? Nah, he wasn't told the day of that he was winning it. I don't know when he was told. I know Jericho, I think, was told day of.
Yeah.
I wonder about Daniel Bryan, how far in advance he
Yeah,
knew.
I mean,
it's funny because we all knew that he was going to win.
Oh, yeah.
Because it wouldn't make any sense if he didn't.
The story needed to end that way.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wonder when they decided, when the decision was made. I'm sure the story's out there somewhere.
Yeah, probably. Let's go through the back issues of the Wrestling Observer newsletter.
Yeah, exactly.
Next, a returning Matt Chatter, Cult of False Realities.
Nice.
See what he has to say.
What's up, Stephen Larson? It's the Cult of False Realities here, formerly known as AJ Styles Contractor, back for another match chat question. And my question actually has to do with Kofi Kingston and his future career in WWE. Now, before I get into that, I want him to win this title for obvious reasons, but my question actually has to do with him retiring. Now, I know it's not going to be anytime soon, but when he leaves, it's going to be somewhat of a void that needs to be filled. And I want to know, who do you guys think could take his place? Who could be his contemporary? And also, who should be his last match? Me personally, I think it should be either Mustafa Ali, Montez Ford, some guys like that. But let me know what you think. Too sweet, hearty handshake. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Cult of False Realities. I'll go first, Steve. As far as Kofi's last match, two options. One, Royal Rumble. He always comes up every year with some kind of clever, inspired, highly athletic way of avoiding elimination.
Sure.
He does that. He sticks around till the final two.
Yeah.
Is ultimately eliminated. But hopefully before then he wins that WWE title. Barring that, Randy Orton. There's a lot going around these days about his previous feud with Randy Orton in 2009. I don't know if Randy was Kofi's, greatest rival, in his pre-New Day days in WWE. But for the sake of this answer, I'm going to say yes.
All right.
Extended feud with Randy Orton. Now, in Cult of False Realities here also mentioned, who could be the next Kofi Kingston, or who would maybe kind of take his spot in WWE whenever he retires. And I don't know if anybody necessarily take Kofi's spot. He's been around for such a long time, built such a bond with the WWE universe that when he leaves, is going to leave a pretty massive hole. But if he just means someone who's got a ton of charisma, has all the athleticism in the world, it's Montez Ford.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say next, Cult of False Realities here sort of mentioned his name, Mustafa Ali. I think he could be the next Kofi Kingston. Mm-hmm. He's young. He can have. Kofi's just been around for a very, very long time. I think Mustafa can be.
He's still in his late 30s. He's 37 or 38.
Yeah.
So we still got a lot of.
He's like the age where NXT guys get signed.
I know. He's still got a lot of mileage in him.
As far as his last match, a New Day triple threat. That's what I want to see. We talk about endlessly about Shield triple threat. Hey, how great is it we're not getting that this year?
It's pretty interesting.
Well, that was going to be a guarantee. I mean, it sucks about Roman. That's awful.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's doing well, but yeah, it's kind of interesting how things pan out. New Day triple threat. I think they can build it without breaking any hearts if it's Kofi's retirement thing.
Yeah.
They can build it without breaking any hearts. have it be a really heartwarming thing where people are crying tears of, bittersweetness as opposed to, they're, whatever. Oh, why do they all hate each other? No, man. It's going to be like a triple threat, but of love.
Yeah. What about New Day versus Thebar? Or no, it's going to be New Day Usos. That's the tag team rivalry.
Yeah. That could be too. So, because I feel like his, the second half of his career obviously has just been New Day, and that's put a laser focus on Kofi.
Yeah.
In terms of his legacy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Whenever he does retire, he's gonna be missed for sure. Next, debuting Matt Chatter, Guion Halili. First Matt Chat question. Welcome,
Guion.
Jacksonville's
number one.
What's going on, friendos? It's Jacksonville's number one Matt Chatter, Guion. And this is my very first Matt Chat question. So I remember a few episodes ago, Steve mentioned he loved the alternate universe stuff. So here's my alternate universe question for you. If TNA never made their terrible, terrible business decisions and practices, and Dixie Carter never put what she thought was great in front of actually running a good business, could TNA be a competing company with WWE right now? Could they have snatched up the AEW guys? Let me know what you think, guys. And this has been Jacksonville's number one. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Guion Halili. What is it?
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville's number one.
Oh, man.
It's rough. Yeah, man. Absolutely. Here's the thing. TNA was chock full of talent for every right thing they did. And they did a lot of things right. They just shot themselves in the foot over and over again. And I think that's one thing that you really need to look at with All Elite Wrestling is that TNA, they really did prove, because they really did prove that there is a hunger in the world for an alternative to WWE. The ratings proved it out. They had one episode that passed 2 million. And if that audience was willing to, if there was an audience that was at least willing to acknowledge and try something different that wasn't WWE, they could have maybe captured that audience. Now, it would have required people at the top with good heads on their shoulders. And I don't know how far in time do you have to travel to find that fulcrum by which, if they had not made a different decision, things would have done differently? Here's the thing.
Is that goes far back as Jeff Jarrett doesn't get the idea in his head?
No.
To start his own promotion? That's what I just don't know how far back you have to go to find that turning point.
Here's the thing. There isn't, I'll put it this way. There was never a single moment that could have been changed in TNA. There was not one moment because of the number of mistakes. There would have to have been a number of changes, a number of quantum leaps made to correct. There was that 3-part episode of Quantum Leap where he leapt into 3 people, all in the same family, and he made several corrections to that family's timeline. There would have had to have been several quantum leaps to fix TNA's timeline. But the general basis, the general premise of a non-WWE company here in North America with that utilized a youth base of exciting wrestlers who are being developed and veterans who, if their egos could have been checked, could have been used properly, then it could have succeeded. But I don't think there is one moment in time when you can say, hey, switch out you for you, and then everything's great. If somebody else that really had a strong head on their shoulders, that wasn't, for example, Dixie Carter, who brought in, was she the one who brought in Hogan and Bischoff?
And Russo.
Is that something that could simply be changed? Take out Dixie Carter out of the equation, add somebody who really understood what they were doing. If Cody Rhodes had been born 10 years earlier and he was in that position, could that have been the situation? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But I do think that there was I mean, whether or not they'd be, compete, like literally competing, almost putting WWE out of business, that never could have happened.
No.
But they could have been.
They could have not turned into a joke.
They could have not turned into a joke. They could have been a solvent, profitable company, and they could have forced WWE to keep their creative game strong and not rest on their laurels. I think that's a possibility.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
It would have been a couple changes, I think.
Probably been a few changes. Long line of changes. Yeah, I just don't know. The stack of mistakes might be too mounting and vast.
I don't know. I don't know how much of a snowball effect it was, though.
That's what I mean too. I don't know. I don't know if it was one mistake was made. We messed up. We got to do something, and then thus another mistake was made. I don't think it's a snowballing situation versus just a series of not necessarily related mistakes that all just led to an inevitable decline of the company. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a TNA historian.
I mean, if you put it this way, how about this? Ooh, here's a good one for you. How about this? Take Dixie Carter out, right? Mm-hmm. What about in this alternate universe?
Paul Heyman takes over.
Paul Heyman. Or what if Triple H never got married to Stephanie McMahon?
All right.
And had a falling out with WWE.
All right.
And he took over and had the complete and total reigns there at TNA.
Okay.
I think you're looking at a situation there.
Maybe.
Probably would have worked.
He would have had a massive chip on his shoulder to stick it to Vince, too.
And he's got the mind for it.
He
That's
does.
a possibility.
But did he in 2003 or 2005?
Did he what?
Have the mind for it then that he does now?
Oh, well, they saw it pretty early on, So, yes. The answer is yes.
All right. Next. The Enforcer, Stevie Bradley.
What's up, Stephen Larson? I come to you from a shipping container. As I sit here on a cold Wednesday morning, I think to myself, what makes a crowd like we saw on Raw this week? What are the ingredients for what we saw? How did we come to that disgusting pie that we had on Monday? Let me know. Too sweet. Hearty handshake.
Thank you, Enforcer.
Thank you, Enforcer.
I don't know, what are the ingredients that lead to not just a quiet crowd, but apparently a friend of ours who was at Raw this week, who's from the Lafayette area, says this is like a regular thing. And we've spoken about, or we heard about Corpus Christi being regularly one of the least enthusiastic audiences for WWE programming. And so for me, it's a larger thing than what makes any individual crowd not seem like they're not enjoying the show versus what is it about certain geographical areas in this country that are less enthusiastic about wrestling than others. Because, you got Philadelphia, they're rabid, New York, Chicago. I can go on. Cities, you put a wrestling show there, it's going to be packed. The crowd's going to be into it. They're going to cheer. They're going to boo. They're going to get involved. They're going to enhance or potentially, due to their overreactions, detract from the show. Mm-hmm. Nonetheless, you're going to get a loud, boisterous audience that, on balance, is going to make the show a better experience.
This is a big, big country we're in. And there are, for example, you go to Texas. What's all the rage in Texas that people kind of don't really care about out here? High school football.
High school football, yeah.
High school football. And so I would imagine there are certain pockets of the country where there's a large geographical swath that simply hasn't traditionally given a crap about WWE product.
Well, I wonder if it goes back further than that, or whether it goes back to territory days. Now I know,
probably.
I think in Mid-South they would run New Orleans. Lafayette, from my understanding, is about a couple hours away north.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had regular wrestling
right
on a I won't say national level, but one of the major territories. Like, did Crockett run through there? Did Florida? Did Mid-South? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a quote unquote wrestling town.
Yeah.
Whereas there's a lot of cities that we know are wrestling towns. St. Louis is a wrestling town. New Orleans, Memphis, Atlanta.
Yeah.
And go on and on.
Yeah. Hot crowds.
Yeah, you get hot crowds because the cities are steeped in wrestling history. I just don't know if that's the case for Corpus Christi or Lafayette or whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Sacramento's not a big wrestling town, but it's a very nerdy town.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we usually get pretty decent reactions. Yeah. Like the crowds are pretty healthy here because we like our nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's it. I don't think that it's like, I think there's like swaths of the country that don't have WWE Network. They're like, what is this?
No, I think it's. I would think, I could be completely wrong.
No, I think you're right.
It goes back.
I think it goes
further
back
than that,
probably generations. Absolutely.
It's interesting to listen to the latest. I was listening to the Pritchard podcast, WrestleMania 9, because we're doing a Going in Raw view, or did do a Going in Raw view. Haven't done it yet as of shooting this. Talking about how in that period of time, the early 90s, how they were losing TV contracts, not just overseas, but here in the U.S. too. So, part of it's probably house shows, regular live wrestling events happening in that city. Plus, I would guess also television.
Mm-hmm,
how much television or how much wrestling was on television throughout the decades.
70s and 80s and 90s.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right. I think it's probably a conglomeration of things.
Next, Richard Morris. Take it away, Richard.
Hello, Stephen Larson. This is Richard Morris with another Matt Chat question. If you could manage one wrestler or team from each brand, who would it be and why? Thank you very much. Too sweet, and a hearty handshake.
Thank you, Richard.
I am disappointed in your NXT answer, to be honest with you.
Why?
I see you as more of a Street Profits guy.
I thought about Street Profits.
I think you're more of a Street Profits guy.
I did. However, War Raiders fancy themselves Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
I am of Scandinavian heritage.
Okay.
Guess it made sense to me.
There you go.
Do you want me to just finish mine?
Yeah, go ahead.
In SmackDown, I would like to be managing the New Day. They don't need me.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need me.
Mm-hmm.
New Day seemed like a ton of fun.
Get out of the New Day.
Exactly. They don't need me.
You couldn't even be booty's worth. Get out of here with that.
So I'll say the club.
Okay. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And then on Raw, the Revival.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. I could see you with the Revival.
They want like an old school tag team
I could see
manager.
you as like a Brian Zane type with the Revival tracksuit. I could see that. Rip off his gimmick.
Well, I'll do my own thing.
Nah, you just rip it off. All right.
But yeah, I thought with the Street Profits. That'd be fun.
Take a look at
maybe Montez Ford can teach me how to do the shoulder roll thing. I want to learn how to do that.
So I would want to manage the grizzled young veterans.
All right.
In NXT UK.
All right, that'd be your NXT pick.
Because I want to go to Liverpool.
You want to be on the tour.
I want to be
given
on the
by guide.
Zach Gibson. Drake doesn't seem to talk that much, but Gibson's a great talker.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I'll be Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews. I'll get him some better music. I'll say, listen, Mark, your music is garbage.
Wow.
Your band sucks.
Real talk.
I'll at least pick the guy who's in the mod culture. Let him choose some songs. Like that guy, every move of his is named after a Who song.
Yeah.
Get a Who song as your thing.
Well, that
or a
costs
fake
money.
Who song.
Yeah.
There you go. So
anyways,
maybe that.
SmackDown.
Over there on SmackDown, who would I manage?
The Colognes?
The Colognes. I'd do a series. I'd bring Sanity back to prominence. I'd manage them. I'd just jump into the, and there'd be like a series of vignettes, all shot on nice DSLRs.
Yeah.
With good lenses.
All right.
And we'd be like out various squatting locations. Mm-hmm. Like, guys, I got you a nice hotel. You're up at the Ritz this week. Let's go there. And Eric Young is like chewing on a dead rat.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I can't do that right now.
Yeah, don't try.
But I'd be like, this is terrible. So it'd be very comedic. It'd be good.
Yeah.
Over there on Raw, give me some names that I could manage, and it can be singles acts.
Baron Corbin.
No, I'm not going to do that. Don't want to get on the Titanic. No thanks.
Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder.
Yeah, that's good. You just call them losers a lot.
All right. Wow.
Man, you guys suck.
Wow.
You guys are the worst.
Way to motivate.
Yeah. Well,
you guys are the worst. Get better.
It's hard.
It'd be real nice if you won sometime.
It's tough love, man. I'd be on their podcast. Yeah, and then NXT, I would manage.
I thought.
Oh man,
what?
I'd manage the Brazilian team.
Oh, that's good. Cesar Bononi and Adrian Jaoud,
and then I think they
Taynara Conti.
Taynara Conti.
That's a good.
They just
pick.
be talking shit about me behind me, and I'm
yeah,
like,
in
I don't
Portuguese,
know what you're
yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
I'm like, en español, por favor, and they're like, no, it's Portuguese.
Yeah,
different language.
You have to go learn
God
Portuguese.
Damn it! No, on Raw, Lucha House Party.
Oh yeah, it'd be fun.
Oh man,
that'd
I'd
be fun.
manage the shit out of
That'd be
Lucha
fun.
House Party. Hola, friendos, amigos. Mi nombre es Esteban aquí. Domingo, Sunday.
All right, don't lose your voice. We got a full week yet.
Grande. It's big. I'd say big a lot. I'd say, what do you think about your group's Lucha House Party? Grande.
Muy bueno.
Muy bueno.
Final question.
Delicioso.
A text question from Nemo. What babyface wrestler could you not see doing well as a heel wrestler and vice versa? I think just about anybody in WWE is talented enough to be babyface or heel. However, just based on natural personality, or the case may be, they probably are better as a heel or face, whatever the case may be. I think Matt Riddle is like prime babyface.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, he could do all sorts of dastardly stuff in the ring, but if he grabs that mic and just says "bro," man,
yeah,
it's hard not to start chanting "bro" with him.
Yeah,
he's lovable. It's going to be hard for me to take Matt Riddle seriously as a heel.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So could he be a heel? Probably. I think he's better as a babyface.
Yeah, sure.
On the flip side of that, Jinder Mahal is a fun, entertaining heel.
Yeah, he's great.
I don't know if he could. I feel like if they booked him as a face, he'd just be kind of hapless.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. Yeah. There's one man who should never turn face, and that's Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
Nobody would buy it.
No.
Nobody wants to be.
Let's go back to what Scott Hall said.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, come on, give me a shot. Hey, Bo.
They tried to make you a baby until they realized you were an asshole.
And then vice versa. Who is a face? Well, at this point, you can't turn Kurt Angle back to a heel.
No. Well, that's a legacy. That's different.
He's just too hapless. He keeps on losing all these better.
It's different. That's what I'm trying to think of younger talent.
All right, so faces who could not be heels at this point.
Like AJ at this point cannot be a heel. Maybe he could, but his last heel run at the end was so unconvincing.
Yeah. Hey, did we miss a Mojo segment this week?
I thought there was like a thing on Twitter, but I don't remember seeing it. I watched all of Raw,
Yeah, I think you're right.
unless it was so short I accidentally fast forwarded it because it was part of the commercial break.
I think it was just on the .com. Oh, yeah. Nobody would. I don't think anybody would really want to buy the New Day as heels anymore. They're too firmly established.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they're in Cena territory basically.
Yeah, they are. They're totally in Cena territory. I'd love to see Bailey as a heel.
Oh, that'd be great.
You ain't shit.
That'd be great. Yeah. That's it for today. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Until next time, we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye. Go rest that voice.